So if, like me, you've ever wondered what the bastard love child of Bruceploitation and your average Italian cannibal movie might look like, then wonder no further, because I truly think that it'd look very much like Bruce Lee in New Guinea, also known as Bruce Lee in New Guinea from 1978. So this Bruceploitation oddity stars Bruce Lee, who in my opinion is the greatest of the Bruces, including the original Bruce. That's a hot take and a controversial take, but I stand by it. So the movie begins with Bruce Lee and his mate having a bit of a discussion about a mysterious island called Snake Worship Island, and they decide to go and visit Snake Worship Island for reasons that are never made truly clear. But be that as it may, they kind of half-assedly explain their motives, and Bruce Lee wants to go and visit Snake Worship Island, basically to treat it as some kind of anthropological curiosity. Apparently Bruce is a anthropology student, or at least an anthropology enthusiast in this movie. And his mate, on the other hand, wants to go and visit Snake Worship Island to study the ancient and deadly martial arts of 5 sects who live on the island, although we only ever see 1 or 2 sects on Snake Worship Island, and both sects seem remarkably similar, but it is what it is. So the two of them basically jet off to Snake Worship Island, and it becomes very clear early on that this movie, or the protagonists, our heroes in this movie, have no respect or no regard whatsoever for the Starfleet or Star Trek Prime Directive in not interfering and not influencing ancient cultures, because it seems that in this movie, not only our heroes, Bruce and his mate, but also the villains who also invade or visit the island, determined to basically plunder it of its greatest treasure, which is the snake pearl, the mythical snake pearl. None of these people seem to have a lot of regard for not interfering with ancient, endangered indigenous cultures like the Starfleet crew of The Next Generation, or any of the Star Treks that followed seem to do, or at least pretended to do. They're happy to interfere at any given moment, even fraternising with the local population. So when Bruce and his mate get to Snake Worship Island, very curious name for an island, they meet a couple of guides, a couple of buffoons, a couple of idiots, a couple of prerequisite comic relief for a Bruceploitation movie. Often the comic relief in Bruceploitations is the obligatory dandy character, the evil dandy who dresses sharply and speaks effeminately and behaves in a cowardly manner. But in this case, the usual Bruceploitation dandy is missing, and he's replaced by a couple of buffoon sidekicks, buffoon guides, and I'm not really sure how these guys are experts at all on Snake Worship Island, or how they know their way around. They don't seem to know their way around at all, and it feels like they've never been there before. At least that's what I gathered from the limited exposition in Bruce Lee in New Guinea. But they do provide the much needed comic relief. There's a great scene where they're foraging for food and they're hiding inconspicuously or conspicuously, depending on your definition of those terms, behind a couple of natives who don't look at all like New Guineans. They look more like perhaps Filipinos or something like that. But they're hiding behind these guys, and these guys are these natives are eating bananas, and they're stealing bananas by distracting them with inane tactics. So they provide the the bulk of the comic relief for the movie, Bruce finds that he isn't so much there to study the anthropological nuances of Snake Worship Island in a way that won't interfere with the local populace or interfere with their way of life or the ecosystems or the Prime Directive in Star Trek terms. He goes all in, balls deep, literally. He's seduces the daughter of the chief of the tribe and knocks her up. I don't know how else to say it. Knocks her up, and that's one of the things that makes this Bruce Lee movie unique out of many things. Bruce knocks her up and does establish himself as a bit of a deadbeat dad, which is different. Normally Bruce Lee in particular is a lot more honourable in these Bruceploitation movies, but in this one he's a little bit of a scumbag, to say the least. So this movie's full of all kinds of oddities. Firstly, it's supposed to be set in New Guinea, but ethnically, the local populace, the local tribesmen, the local cannibals, we never actually see them cannibalizing, but it does come up as a suggestion. They ethnically, they don't appear New Guinean at all. I mean, at least the local extras in Bruno Mattei's Night of the Zombies were ethnically New Guinean, but in this case it appears that they've shot this thing somewhere on an island off Hong Kong or off Manila, somewhere, wherever the tax breaks were at the time, and the tribes people, the ancient civilization of Snake Worship Island, are anything but New Guinean. But that's fine. Bruceploitation never lets geography get in the way of a good story. This one has, aside from that, a lot of other oddities. A lot of emphasis, as you'd expect, on snake poison and worshipping snakes and things like that. So at least it does deliver on that. A lot of kung fu. And Bruce Lee, as I mentioned, is my favourite of the Lee-alikes, including the originator, Bruce Lee. Don't hate on me for that, but I believe that he's a better all-rounder and just edges out Bruce Lee in terms of acting. So this one also has a very protective guy in a gorilla suit who of course is supposed to be a gorilla, but it is a very ratty and tattered sort of gorilla suit that must be seen to be believed, and he's kind of the protector of the ladies of Snake Worship Island, but unfortunately he doesn't do a very good job of protecting the chief's daughter from Bruce Lee, who takes full advantage and, as I said, ignores the Star Trek Starfleet Prime Directive, knocks up the chief's daughter, and then leaves the island for a year, goes off to do presumably kung fu and to sow his wild oats elsewhere, and then eventually does return to make good on saving his love interest and, I guess, being there for his child and saving the people of Snake Worship Island from something. So this movie is quite interesting when you scratch beneath the surface of the oddities and the inexplicable plot points and the general surreal atmosphere of Bruce Lee in New Guinea, aka Bruce Lee in New Guinea. It does feel like a genuine mashup between something like a Bruceploitation movie and something like Cannibal Holocaust or Woman from Deep River or Eaten Alive. And if you think you're in the mood for an Italian cannibal movie, but you're feeling a bit squeamish for all of the unnecessary nihilism and cruelty, then Bruce Lee in New Guinea might just fit the bill. So this one does have a little bit of unintended social commentary, mainly about colonialism. In this case, the colonists are very much Bruce Lie and his mate and the two buffoon guides, and they're generally, as colonists usually do, they're coming in and disrupting things, whether for better or worse, and in this case I'd argue it is for worse. The good people of Snake Worship Island were living quite peacefully, quite trouble-free, carefree, until Bruce arrives on the scene, and not only Bruce, but a trio of goons from the United States who basically also throw a bit of a monkey wrench into the mix, and everyone's looking for the snake worship pearl for very different reasons, and obviously chaos ensues, and the end of the movie, at least in my opinion, doesn't quite leave Snake Worship Island in a better place, a more just place, a more equitable place than it was at the beginning of Bruce Lie in New Guinea. But it is what it is in terms of the morals of this movie, the morality, the frequent violations of the Star Trek Starfleet Prime Directive that you'd think Bruce Lie, with all of his heroics, would be all in on, but sadly he's not, and violates it in the worst possible ways. And the only way that Bruce and his mate and the buffoons could have possibly made things worse on Snake Worship Island would be if they'd brought smallpox or one of those diseases, influenza, with them. Bruce may well have brought gonorrhea or syphilis or hepatitis with him. We never actually learn whether that is the case, but incidentally there is a lot of illness spreading around on Snake Worship Island once Bruce leaves, so I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions. So this one also has all of the Bruceploitation prerequisites. It has the stock footage of the Hong Kong skyline. It has footage of planes taking off, jumbo jets taking off and landing to establish an international flavour, and that Bruce is a big shot that can afford airline tickets. And it all gets wrapped up in a neat bow, beginning and ending, and effortlessly plunders not only Bruce Lee's legacy, but the Italian Cannibal movie legacy, and to an extent the whole adventure movie legacy, the fantasy movie legacy. This one's a bit like a salad bar. It takes what it wants and leaves the rest, which you can also do while watching Bruce Lie in New Guinea. But that's not to say that other movies didn't rip off Bruce Lie in New Guinea later on. I mean, this might be another hot take, but I firmly believe that Indiana Jones probably borrowed heavily from the themes of Bruce Lie in New Guinea. Just like Bruce Lie, Indiana Jones is quite the selfish, nosy Parker when it comes to less civilized cultures, and likewise usually neglects the Star Trek Prime Directive. So this movie is unique in being influenced by, or heavily influenced by, Bruce Lee, but also heavily influencing films to come, like films like Indiana Jones and Alan Quatermain, and also the silly Sirio Santiago adventures that had come in the early to late 80s. So that's about all I've got on Bruce Lee in New Guinea, aka Bruce Lie in New Guinea. It is quite the Bruceploitation oddity. If you've only seen fairly conventional Bruceploitation movies, then this is genuinely one to add to the list, and a good way to spend a lazy Sunday on Snake Worship Island with Bruce and his mate as they use anthropology and trying to learn about the 5 mystic forms of snake worship martial arts, basically as an excuse to travel to a place that's untouched and exploit it for all of their carnal and monetary desires. So that's about all I've got on Bruceploitation, New Guinea. Till next time, take it easy.